I was a victim of a SIM swap scam. It's a little bit embarrassing to admit it, seeing how I regard myself as a generally savvy guy, so I was apprehensive about making this video, but ultimately decided to, as SIM swap scams are growing in popularity and can happen to anyone. If my story prevents one person from being a victim, then it's time well spent sharing my experience. So what's a SIM swap scam? A SIM swap scam is when a scammer convinces a mobile service provider to switch a victim's service to a new SIM card that they control. It's a type of account takeover that targets weaknesses in 2FA, which is the acronym for two-factor authentication. There are two strategies that scammers use to switch SIM cards. The first is pretending to be you by using a fake ID at a retail store that provides services for your mobile carrier in an attempt to replace your SIM card with a newly purchased one. This method involves buying your personal information like your name, social security, and street address from the dark web to create a fake ID with it and answer any security questions they may come across. Unfortunately, with the number of websites that get hacked, the chances are quite high that your personal identifying information is available for sale. The second strategy is paying employees, usually a call center rep that works for your mobile service provider, to switch your SIM card in exchange for money. This method takes advantage of the fact that many call center employers are hired from third world countries who are paid low wages. They can be more easily bribed than others. The scammer finds who these employees are from sites like LinkedIn and offer them a few $100s to process a SIM swap. Unfortunately, both options used by scammers are highly effective in taking over your phone number. Once they have access to your phone number, they'll try to reset your email address. Most email systems have a forget password feature where the email service provider will text a security code to your phone number before allowing a password change. This is an issue for the scammer since they now own your number. With both your phone number and email address under their control, this is where the real damage begins. The scammer will try to log into every single financial account you have and get as much out of it before someone finds out. SIM swap scams highlight the flaw in using phone numbers and email addresses as the two-factor authentication method. Not only can scammers gain access to your accounts, but any unusual activity that trips financial platforms typically involve the company trying to verify that the transaction is legit via security code sent as a text message or email. And well, the scammers have both now. Scary, right? This leads to my story on how I got scammed. I was eating breakfast with my wife when I received a text message from my mobile company telling that my current SIM card is no longer valid, and a new one had been activated on a different phone. My phone number got deactivated a few seconds later, as quickly followed by a message that my email account password has been reset. Since I was still connected on Wi-Fi, I started to see notifications from my bank, investing apps, and crypto platforms that someone had initiated for funds to be transferred out of my accounts. I was in a state of shock, but quickly got my senses together and used my wife's phone number to contact every company I had accounts with to freeze them with a fraud alert. Then I contacted my mobile service provider and went through a rigid security check to verify that I am who I said I was. This involved taking a selfie holding my driver's license in one hand and my password in the other. They also directed me to take a move-in selfie on a verification app that had me move my head left to right and up and down. The scammers started all of this around 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, assuming I'd be asleep, and they'd be right on almost any other night. They had managed to initiate pending transfers worth $98,656 within the first 30 minutes. That would have been an extremely unpleasant thing to wake up to. Luckily, I was in Maldives, which at that time was mid-morning, and I was able to get everything squared away with. I learned a lot throughout this process, especially how to prevent it from happening again in the future. The best way to prevent SIM swap scams from happening to you is to stop using your phone number and email address as two-factor authentication options. Instead, use an Authenticator app. These are mobile apps that provide an extra layer of security for your online accounts by generating time-based one-time passwords. The Authenticator apps I use have time-based passwords that change every 30 seconds and are not tied to your phone number or email address, making them much more secure than using your phone number or email. Solid Authenticator apps include Google Authenticator, Authy, Microsoft Authenticator, and LastPass Authenticator. Okay, I'm going to show you how a mobile Authenticator app works using TikTok and walk you through the steps to setting it up. I'm using TikTok in this example, but the process is pretty much the same for your email, financial accounts, or other platforms that allow mobile authentication. All right, this is the TikTok screen. I created a fake account, appropriately called Ninja Testing for this example. The first step will ask me to log in using the security code sent to my email. So I'm going to grab that and enter it in. Then TikTok is asking me to enter the 6-digit code for my Authenticator app. I'm using Google Authenticator, so I open that up, and here you can see the TikTok code that changes every 30 seconds. The clock countdown animation on the right shows you how much time you have left before the code changes. Let me copy this code and come back to TikTok and enter it in. And voila, I'm now securely logged into TikTok. The second layer of security is why it makes it so much harder for scammers and hackers to break into your account. Now that you know how it works, I'm going to show you how to set it up. In this example, we'll also use TikTok. We'll go to Profile. We'll hit the hamburger button on the top right-hand side and select Settings and Privacy in the bottom. And then here, we'll go to Security and Permissions. And there's going to be an option called two-step verification. So I took Authenticator off to show you how to set it back up here. So you hit this Authenticator selection. It's going to ask you to enter the code. We're going to pretend we don't have a code and we want to set up a new one. So what we'll do is set up a new code. And normally if you're doing this on your laptop or desktop, you can just take your phone and scan the QR code and it'll be added automatically to your Authenticator app. However, since we're using only one mobile phone, what we'll do is we're going to copy this key into our Authenticator app to get it set up. So I just copied it. I'm going to go to my Google Authenticator. I'm going to hit that plus sign on the bottom right-hand corner. And then it's going to ask you if you want to scan a QR code, which we can't because we're on one phone, or enter a setup key. We're going to pick the second one. And here, we're just going to name it TikTok so we know what that is for. The key is what we just copied, so we're going to paste it in there. And time-based just shows that every 30 seconds is going to redo a new number for security purposes. Then we just click on simply press and add. And here you go. Now we have the TikTok with a 30-second time window. The code changes every single time, makes your account more secure. The downside, and it's a big one, is that not all accounts support app-based authenticators. This blows my mind. We're in 2024 and some companies just don't take security as seriously as they should. Some of them say it's an IT limitation, but in my experience, that's just a cop-out because they don't want to invest money to build this feature onto their platform. If you're not able to use Authenticator apps, there are other steps you can take to make sure your accounts are more secure. One is to contact your mobile service provider and tell them to lock your SIM card. This will require additional security steps to switch to a different SIM card, thus making it harder for the scammer to gain control. 2, use an Authenticator app as your two-factor authentication method for your email accounts too. Unlike financial accounts, most email platforms support this. The third piece of advice is to use different passwords for your various accounts to slow down any potential fraud and buy you additional time to handle the situation. The fourth, which is a little bit more advanced, is to change the phone number tied to your online accounts to a different number that isn't registered to your name. Create a number under one of your family members or use an anonymous prepaid service. However, don't use Google Voice for this. Not all online accounts support it for authentication. Plus, you can lose your Google Voice number if you're not actively using it. While my personal experience with SIM swapping was definitely scary, I didn't lose anything financially through sheer luck of being in a faraway island. As a way of saying thanks, we actually pay homage to Maldives by visiting twice a year, or at least that's what my wife's excuse to fly there is. Based on the latest data, SIM card swap scams have increased 300% from 2018 to 2021. So it's super important to do whatever you can to prevent this from happening to you. I hope you found this video useful. If so, please like and subscribe to learn more ways to maximize your finances. And remember, start small, think big. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.